Welcome back to OpenLine tonight. We're talking about the Dismas House right here in Nashville, what it does, who it serves, and Gerald Brown, the CEO, is here with me. Steve, one of the clients there. Thank you again for both being here, sharing your stories about the important work that Dismas is doing. And I really just have a heart for it because, as I shared last year at the big luncheon that I was a part of, when I was a reporter out on the street every day, I covered the court system a lot. So I became very familiar with the workings of our justice system, how it succeeds and how it fails. And oftentimes, when you would go to cover a case, you would pick up someone's rap sheet, and it was this big, and it was a cycle of being in and out of the system over and over again. And at some point, you just have to say, we're not doing this right. Something is going wrong here. People are not being served. And that's from the defendant to the taxpayer. Things are not going well. And so I think it's so important to have organizations like Dismas who are trying to change that. And you're doing it just like a jump in feet first kind of way. Big changes coming for Dismas. How many guys do you serve a year right now? Right now we serve roughly around 20 guys a year. We have 8 beds. The average stay in our program is around 6 months. So we serve roughly around 20 guys a year. And the house you're at is currently where? We're on Music Row, 16th Avenue South, and we've been there for 4 decades. We were incorporated by Father Jack Hickey, who was a chaplain over at Vanderbilt University, and he saw back then in the 70s that there was a need for housing and supportive services for people that were transitioning out of incarceration, and we've tried to uphold that tradition over the last 40 years. And you're on the move. The house has been sold. Yes, the house has been sold, and it's a reason for that, Carrie. I think over that time frame, the population or the amount of folks that have been incarcerated from the 70s to now has ballooned 4 times over. I think in the 70s there was roughly around 400,000 folks that were incarcerated. Now there's 2.2 million, and we've seen the influx of applications. We annually receive about 300 applications for 8 beds annually. Wow. And that's what sparked the move. That's what sparked us to go from a 4,000 square foot home to a 23,000 square foot campus that will house up to 76 formerly incarcerated men annually, at one time, but annually we should be able to serve around 200 folks. That's a big change. Yes, huge. So where's the new campus going to be, and how are you going to pull this off? And keep the same. A lot of prayer. And really keep the heart of it the same. Yeah, I think the key of it is really not doing too much more differently than we've always done. Providing that family atmosphere, integrating the community back with our guys and our guys back into the community. So volunteers, partnerships, all those different ways that we've traditionally done our program is what we'll continue to do. And we're seeing some video, I should mention, of what this new campus is going to look like. Wow. Can you explain a little bit about how the inner workings of it here? Sure. So it'll be 4 levels. On the first level will be a commercial-sized kitchen with room for 80 people at a time. And also there will be a wing on the first floor for our staff. So we're going to go from 4 staff members to 30 staff members. Right now we have 1 dynamic case manager, Denario McGraw, and we'll have 12 Denario McGraws once we do this expansion. So on the floors that are 2nd and 3rd floor, it'll be 30 rooms on each of those floors, dual occupancy. And then on the 4th floor will be 16 units for affordable housing units for guys who are transitioning out of our traditional program that want to go into permanent housing. So we'll have that all on site. You know, that's so smart, because we have said it and we've covered it time and time again on this program, on the news. Affordable housing is almost impossible to come by in Nashville. It is. And you have people who are working in, in the kind of the trade sector who do their work here in Nashville that are having to live so far out. And for people who maybe don't have a car yet, Steve can testify this, using the bus system, you got to be close. You got to be able to live somewhere close down here. Especially for this population that we serve, it's difficult to find a job with a livable wage, and so in addition to that, after you find a job with a livable wage, then finding somewhere that you can live. So we're knocking out one of those birds with this, and hopefully we'll get more opportunities from the community to help employ some of our guys, because they're great guys. Everybody's made a mistake at some point in their lives. It shouldn't be a death wish, or it shouldn't be the end of their lives because of a mistake that they've made. And pay their debt to society as well. Very true. Let's jump to the lines. We have Joe on the line. Hi, Joe.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm curious. This is a wonderful thing that his organization is doing. My concern is, like, if you're only getting it through donations, can't the local government or the state government or the federal government give any kind of funding to that? Are they, or are they not?
Great question. How do you guys make it?
Yeah, we have, Joe, thanks for the question. We have a lot of support from the correctional facility because they not only believe in rehabilitation while incarcerated, but also post-incarceration. So we do a lot of partnering with them, not only from a programmatic standpoint, but also from a financial standpoint as well. And then we really support and look at, all types of funding streams from corporations to individuals, and we're also looking into the state for some support for mental health services as well as recovery and addiction services.
Yeah, great question. So it really does take a village.
It does.
To keep Dismas running.
It does.
Yeah.
That it does.
And I know you have some wonderful donors that help pull it all off. But things like addiction recovery are growing more and more important these days. We see it in all aspects right now.
Well, really, with our expansion, we're really looking at revamping or adding an addiction services model that we haven't had up to this point. But it's something that over 60% of folks that are incarcerated have dealt with some type of addiction or mental illness. So we need to address that with our population, especially once we scale. But we also have partnerships like Interfaith Dental. I think one of the things that Steve mentioned when he first got here was kind of had a self-esteem issue, and we make sure through those donations from the community and other sources that we're able to provide things like dental care. And Steve has been smiling for the last 3 or 4 weeks because of that.
I
love it. Yeah.
But I'm sure it's made an impact in your life more than just having good dental hygiene, right? Can you tell me how?
I like to talk to everybody. I've never met a stranger, but it limited me to talk to people. So that's the first concern I had, and Mr. Gerald was like, okay, go here.
That's great.
Set me an appointment, and then 13 weeks. 13 weeks later, went in and got everything fixed. And now I just talk to everybody and just smile. So I love talking to people. So.
And we really do appreciate you sharing your story, because I know there is vulnerability in that. And you were telling me before the show here that being at Dismas has really changed your family relationship. Tell me how.
I think getting locked back up, I really hurt my dad more than anybody. So he sees me changing, and he sees what Dismas is doing for me. So he's actually talking to me now, and my mom, because she worked for the sheriff's department, so I know it was an embarrassment for her. My son, my oldest daughter talks to me, and I have 2 grandsons, I found out.
Congratulations.
So that's awesome that I have everything that I lost because of my stupidity and my decisions. Now through Dismas House, I'm getting it back. And I'm not having to go, where am I going to get this from so I can do this? I know if I got a problem, I can go to Denario or Mr. Gerald or Brian or one of the guys that stay there, and we can talk about anything. We have dinner every night at 6 o'clock, Monday through Thursday as a family, and we just have basic family conversation where we can just discuss anything with no judgment. And
your family must see true and real change in order to come back around and come into the fold.
Yeah, I do.
That's amazing. I'm sure that's life-changing as well to you.
It is, it is.
Yeah, to have that support. And that's what it's really all about, isn't it, Gerald?
Oh, yeah. Excuse me.
Sure. I know that, that there is that mentality, and I know that you have come across it in giving speeches throughout the community and seeking donors. Lock them up and throw away the key. And that's not what happens. If you feel that way, it's not what happens, because most, I think it's what, 95% of offenders will be released into society.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And my father was incarcerated for several years, and upon his release from incarceration, he subsequently overdosed and passed away. And so my passion is to really go out and help as many of our residents as we possibly can so they can reconnect with that Gerald Brown. And so that's why I'm passionate about what we do and willing to talk to anyone and really share what it is that we do. I think there's a certain level of naiveness to someone transitioning out of incarceration, especially if there's a mental illness situation, or we don't know what adverse situations that have happened throughout a person's life that have caused them to do some some bad things. So,
Right.
So that's one of the reasons. Everybody needs a second chance. Redemption is something that we all should believe in. We've all had a second chance at some point in our lives. Why should guys and gals, for that matter, transition out of incarceration, not give that opportunity as well?
Yeah, I've heard it said, and I can't attribute the quote. I think it's maybe one of the Bushes, but I don't know. But it would be terrible to be judged on our worst day.
Yeah. Oh,
And,
yeah.
and unfortunately, a lot of people are.
Yeah.
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 So, all right, we're going to take another quick break. More of your calls, questions, comments. Feel free to bombard us. We're ready for your phone call. 615-737+ is the number. More about Dismas House when we come back.